Oh, I haven't pressed record yet. Okay, nevertheless, this is the opportunity for you to get to know your juniors and your seniors. Okay, so you look at your left, your right, your behind, your front, get to know your juniors and seniors. Okay, who knows, they might be your subordinates, your boss in the future. Okay, or your business partner in the future, or your life partner in the future, who knows that? So Unisty is the place where you find your life partners, right? Is that so? If not now, then when? Wait until you work and then until you old only you find your life partner. Or maybe never. Okay, Unisty is not just a place to study, it's also a place to find your life partner. Okay, so get to know your juniors and seniors. So let us come to human anatomy. Okay, I already gave the introduction to this course, right? On the tutorial, did you all attend? Who did not attend the tutorial on yesterday? Anyone did not attend? Okay, so if you just came in, this is your check-in code 97827. 13 of you didn't check in. Yeah, the 13 of you. And 12 of you. And only 13 attended the class. Okay, check in quick, so you won't lose attendance. And if you didn't attend to, yesterday's first introductory tutorial, you always check back the recording in eLearn. Okay, it should be in here. When you click here, you see available recordings in here. Okay, so let us not talk bullshit anymore. Let us start our lecture now. Oh yeah, before that, your course outline, right? I realized that on 22nd of May, it is a Wednesday, which is another public holiday, Vesak Day, so there'll be no lecture on that day. Okay, Malaysia has the most public holidays in the world, right? Okay, so enjoy your public holiday, so there's no lecture on this day, so we'll be combining this one. Okay, the musculoskeletal system. The muscle and also the skeletal system. Okay, so what are all these systems about? Are you familiar with all these systems? Have you studied all these systems before in your foundation year? Are you familiar with all these systems? Okay, if not, this lecture serves as an introductory session to all these systems. Okay, your check-in code, this one, 97827. Okay, let us start our lecture. Okay. Why does it? Okay, this one, no need to do that. I think we did it before in physiology, right? Okay, so lecture 1 is about the human body, cells and tissues. Okay, cells are mainly, I will talk about epithelial cells. So the learning objectives will be two parts of the study of this lecture. So the first hour we talk about this the general human anatomy, and then after that the second part of the lecture I will talk about epithelial cells. So the first part of the lecture will be on anatomical levels and terminology. Okay, here are the learning objectives. First, to justify the study of human anatomy. What is human anatomy? Describe the major levels of organization in living organisms, and use correct terminology to describe anatomical positions, anatomical landmarks, body sections, regional and directional terms. And the fourth one is to identify the major body cavities. So for those who just came in, check-in code, what is it? 97827. I said it so many times, I think I can memorize it already. 97827. Okay, how do I? Okay, so what is the definition of anatomy? Who knows what is the definition of anatomy? It's really written on the screen, right? So it is the study, any omi is study. Okay, my is study. You have or OG. No, actually study is OG, right? OGY, physiology, pathology. OG is study of something. Okay, but what about anatomy? It is a study of external, okay, external and internal structures of the body. So what is external? External is without cutting or anything. Okay, internal is you cut, only you can see the internal structures of the body. And in this case is human, of course, but we're still doing the dissection on mouse, because we can't dissect on humans, right? Unless you want to sacrifice yourself and then we dissect you. Okay? No, right? So including what? Including the relationship between body parts. So our body parts, our anatomical organs do not work alone. Okay? They cooperate with each other for the full functioning of the body. So anatomy helps us to understand function, which is you will learn or you already have learned in physiology. And anatomical structures perform physiological functions. So there are different aspects of anatomy. Okay, first is gross anatomy. As I mentioned yesterday, right? Gross, what does gross mean? Gross does not mean eye. It's not you see something, you say eye. No, okay? Gross means macroscopic. That means you don't need a microscope to see the structure. Okay, you can see with your naked eye. Okay, the study of structures that can be seen without magnification. Microscopic anatomy is you need magnification. And what does it mean by microscopic anatomy? Is this cytology and histology. Because the fields of cytology and histology, you can't study them without looking under the microscope. Okay, and you will study, there's a standalone subject, histology and cytology, which you will take in year 3. Okay, so what is cytology? Cytology is the study of cells. So cy is cells. Okay, histology is the study of tissues. So the levels of organization, you should be very familiar with this already. The levels of organization of what? Of a human body. Okay, so the human body is divided into these many different levels. I think this one is portrayed in here, in this diagram here. So what is the simplest level of organization in a human body? Atoms, right? So we have atoms first, okay, which is at the chemical or molecular level. So atoms are the smallest chemical units, and molecules are a group of atoms that work together. And where do you study chemical and molecular, these chemical and molecular structures? In biochemistry, right? Are you taking biochemistry this sem? clinical chemistry, biochemistry, right? Okay, so you will study that in chemistry, biochemistry or clinical chemistry. Then the next level is, if you proceed to a higher level, is the cellular level. So atoms and molecules form what? They form cells. Okay, so cells are a group of atoms, molecules and organelles that work together. Then the next level is of course tissue. Tissue is a group of similar cells. Then after tissue is what? Organ. Okay, organ group of tissues working together. Then after that what? System. Okay, a group of organs working together is known as a system. And finally, the highest level is the organism, which is the full human body. Okay, so this can be seen in this diagram here. Examples are, what is described in here is the muscle. Okay, so muscle is made up of atoms. Okay, so what are the most common atoms in our body? What are the three most common atoms in our body? Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, right? H2O is the water, right? Water is most ubiquitous in our body. And all of our body are organic materials, right? Organic materials are made up of carbon. So carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, so this will form complex protein molecules. And of course, nitrogen, protein you need nitrogen, amino acid you need nitrogen. Okay, and also hydrogen. So these complex protein molecules, what are these actually? These are amino acids now. Okay, amino acids, they form polypeptides, then they form proteins. Okay, in this case, the muscle protein filaments, then they form this more specifically is the heart muscle, okay, cardiac muscle. And then cardiac muscle, a group of cardiac muscle tissues will form the complete heart. Okay, then the heart is part of the cardiovascular system, because the cardiovascular system is not just the heart. Okay, cardiovascular. So cardio is the heart, vascular are the blood vessels. Okay, then they form, together with other systems, they form the whole organism. So let us look at some examples, okay, of the systems in our body. So how many systems do we have in our body? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 systems. Okay, let us look at the systems. First one is integumentary. What does it mean by integumentary? That means it's referring to the skin. Okay, not just the skin, the hair, sweat glands, and nails. So it's basically our coverings. And then this is what? This is the largest organ in our body. Okay, the skin is our largest organ in our body. So what is the function? Why do we have such a large organ? Okay, to protect against environmental hazards. Okay, to help regulate body temperature and provide sensory information. Basically, is to protect and sense the environment. Okay, then next is skeletal. Skeletal is often combined with this muscular system because without bones, you don't have muscles, right? And muscles are always closely linked together with the bones, right? Okay, so skeletal systems are referring to bones, cartilages, ligaments, and bone marrow. Function to provide support and protection, to store mainly calcium and other minerals, and also as a site for hematopoiesis, okay, to form blood cells. Muscular system often combined with the skeletal system, so it's more commonly known as musculoskeletal system. So muscles, aren't we first fascinated by muscles? All the Instagram, what do you see? You see muscles only, right? You see boobs, you see muscles, right? If not, why Instagram is born? Okay, so muscle can make you money. Okay, muscle can what? Yeah, can earn you money, lah. Okay, so major organ. What are the organs in the muscular system? Okay, the skeletal muscles and associated tendons. Okay, what are muscles for? To provide movements, provide protection, and support other tissues, and generate heat that maintains body temperature. Okay, next comes to the nervous system. So nervous system, as you may know, they are divided into the peripheral nervous system and also the central nervous system, right? Okay, so the brain, spinal cord are the central nervous systems. Peripheral nerves, sense organs are the peripheral nervous system. Okay, functions to direct immediate responses to stimuli, coordinates and moderates activities of other organs, provides and interprets sensory information about external conditions. And there is actually a standalone subject for this nervous system, which is known as neurobiology, that you will take in the third year. All of you are taking neurobiology, right? Bio P, Bio M, and Bio. Or is it just Bio P? Is it you're not taking neurobiology? Is it? Or M Bio, you're taking it as elective. Okay, go and find out yourself, read your handbook. Okay, endocrine organ all about hormones. Okay, and endocrinology, the study of endocrine organs and the hormones they secrete. So what are the organs? Our endocrine organs: pituitary, pancreas, gonads, endocrine tissues, thyroid, adrenal glands. So some of these organs, they may play more than one function besides being an endocrine organ. Okay, for example, the pancreas, besides an endocrine organ, what system does it belong to? Digestive system, right? Okay, also like the gonads, besides as an endocrine organ, what system does it belong to? Reproductive organs, right? Okay, so these secrete hormones, and they are different from the nervous system because they direct long-term changes in the activities of other organ systems, adjust metabolic activity and energy used by the body, and controls many structural and functional changes during development. So cardiovascular system. Why do we study cardiovascular system? Because that is the number one cause of death, I think, in our country and also worldwide, right? What is the number one cause of death in our country? What is it? Heart attack, right? Not the Demi Lovato heart attack, it's the real myocardial infarction heart attack. Okay, because of what? Because we don't exercise lah, we eat too much fat lah. What else? We smoke lah, we drink lah. All the lifestyle habits. Okay, so number one cause of death is heart attack. So they belong to the cardiovascular system. That's why you have to study cardiovascular system. Okay? And besides the heart, what belongs to the cardiovascular system? The blood and blood vessels. Again, not only the blood vessels, the blood that is carried by the blood vessels, it also belongs to the cardiovascular system. So the function is to distribute blood cells, water and dissolved materials, including nutrients, waste product, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So distribute heat and assist in control of body temperature. Two more systems: lymphatic system. Okay, the organs are spleen, thymus, lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes, tonsils, mainly for defense against infection. Okay, and returns tissue fluids to the bloodstream. Next, respiratory system. Okay, the nasal cavities, lungs, trachea, etc., etc. Okay, function to deliver air to the alveoli. So what is the main function of the respiratory system? What do we need to survive? Oxygen, take in oxygen and remove carbon dioxide waste. Okay, and not the other way around. If it is the other way around, then you are a plant. Okay, digestive system. We like to eat, right? You're hungry now, right? It's almost dinner time now. Okay, digestive system. So these are the list of organs. Okay, functions are to process and digest food, absorbs and conserves water. Okay, absorbs nutrients, stores energy reserves. Urinary system. Okay, it's rather simple, composed of kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. Okay, function is to excrete waste products from the blood. So it's the filter system of our body. So you don't need a Colway or Cuckoo filter. You have a natural Colway or Cuckoo filter in your body, which is your pair of kidneys. Okay, so excrete waste products from the blood, controls water balance, stores urine prior to voluntary elimination. So if you can't, this one is voluntary elimination. So in what conditions where there is involuntary elimination? Babies and the geriatrics, elderly people. So if there's involuntary, what does it mean by involuntary elimination? When the bladder is full, you can't control it straight away. Urine will be released by itself. So basically, you piss in your pants now. Okay, you need to wear diapers now. Okay. This one, the most interesting part. So you don't have this, you don't have OnlyFans, you don't have Instagram, right? Okay, the reproductive systems. These are what is discriminating between genders is this one. The rest are all the same. Right? For male and female, all the systems are almost the same. Okay, except for the reproductive organs. This is the discriminating one between male and female. Okay, so what are the organs? You should be very familiar with this one. If come out in the exam, sure you can answer one, sure you can write a lot one. Even if you close your eye, you write nonsense also you can answer one. Right? Okay, what are the organs? Testes, and then what is this epididymis? Okay, that one you will know later. Okay, seminal vesicles, prostate gland, penis, scrotum. Okay, functions of course to produce sperm. Okay, and also the hormones, mainly testosterone. Okay, and for sexual intercourse. Okay, should add one more function to make money, right? To make money on OnlyFans. Right? Okay, female reproductive systems. Okay, what are the major organs? Ovaries, blah blah blah. Not blah blah blah, all this now. Okay, and also mammary glands. So mammary glands are also part of the female reproductive system. Okay, to produce female sex cells, the oocytes, okay, and hormones, mainly estrogen and progesterone, support developing embryo from conception to delivery, to nourish newborn infant, okay, and for sexual intercourse. So these are all the systems of our body, okay. I think you have all learned this before in your foundation. So next is the concept of homeostasis. If you have taken physiology before, there's a whole lecture on this, right? Homeostasis. So what does homeostasis mean? Okay, it means that all body systems working together to maintain a stable internal environment. Because the external environment we can't control, right? But the internal environment can be controlled by the homeostatic mechanism of our body. So the systems respond to external and internal changes to function within a normal range. Okay, examples are like body temperature, fluid balance. Two mechanisms of regulation, intrinsic, okay, also known as auto-regulation, where there is automatic response in a cell, tissue, or organ to some environmental change. Extrinsic is response controlled by mainly nervous and endocrine systems. So the the nervous system, okay, the nerve impulses, and also hormones, short-term and long-term regulation. So what are the components of homeostasis? Yeah, I think this one came out in your physiology, right? And yet some of you still feel and scored so low marks. Okay, homeostasis. Okay, the three components of homeostasis: receptor to receive the stimulus, control center, okay, mainly the brain, okay, to process the signal and sense instruction, and the effector, okay, which carries out the instruction. So always these three components of homeostasis. So how is this similar with an air conditioner? So this homeostatic mechanism is something like our air conditioner. Okay, where our air conditioner, there is this thermometer. Is there a thermometer? Then the thermostat is the control center, and the effector is the air conditioner turns on. Okay, there are two types of these homeostatic feedback mechanisms, negative and positive feedback. Okay, negative feedback mechanism, what is the role? The response of the effector negates the stimulus. So what does it mean by negates the stimulus? It tries to reduce the stimulus, okay, not to enhance it. So body is brought back into homeostasis where the normal range is achieved. Okay, so example shown in here is the control of body temperature, right? So when you have body temperature rises, again this is the stimulus. So where is the condition when you have body temperature rises? You go out, the sun now is El Nino, right? So hot. You go out in the sun, then body temperature rises. Okay, so the stimulus is the sun. Then what is the receptor? Receptors are the temperature sensors on your skin, okay, and your hypothalamus. So what is the control center? The control center is the thermoregulatory center in the brain, okay, which is actually a hypothalamus. Okay, the hypothalamus is the control center of body temperature. So we have stimulus, right? Stimulus, receptor that detects the stimulus, okay, then the control center. Then what about the effector? Effector is the sweat gland. Okay, sweat gland in the skin increase secretion. Secretion of what? What do you experience when you are very hot? Sweat, right? Sweating. Okay? And blood vessels in skin dilate. Dilate is expand or what? Expand, right? Okay? So what is this homeostatic mechanism intend to do is to keep your body temperature at around 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, there's besides the negative feedback, there's also a positive feedback. Okay, the role of positive feedback is to increase the change of stimulus. So instead of decreasing the stimulus, you increase the stimulus. And an example shown in here is the blood clotting mechanism. Okay, where the stimulus is you have an injury to your blood vessel. Okay, and then this one will be detected by the receptor, okay, on the blood vessels, the endothelial cells of your blood vessels, okay, which will secrete chemicals. And then you will start a chain of positive feedback mechanism, which is to do what? What is these gray things? What are these gray things? These are platelets. What is involved in blood clotting? You need platelets, right? Okay, these are platelets. So more platelets will be recruited, more and more platelets will be recruited to clot the blood. Okay, so you see from here, right, very little platelets. And then because of the positive feedback loop, you have more platelets which form the part of the blood clot. Okay, to stop the bleeding. So in the positive feedback, the body is moved away from homeostasis and the normal range is lost and is used to speed up processes. So in physiology, those who have taken physiology, what are the two other examples of positive feedback? Forgotten already. It's labor mechanism, right? And then the milk ejection mechanism, right? Still remember? Okay, so other examples of the negative and positive feedbacks in different systems, okay, can be seen here. Things like regulation of body temperature, regulation of body fluid composition, body fluid volume, waste product concentration, and blood pressure. Okay, and most of these regulation of these different stimulus, okay, does not just depend on one single system. Okay, many systems, they integrate and work together. So this is known as the systems integration. Systems work together to maintain homeostasis. Okay, so homeostasis is the state of equilibrium. Opposing forces are in balance, and dynamic equilibrium, that means there is continuous adaptation. So physiological systems work to restore balance. So we will learn what is these mechanisms in physiology. And failure results in disease, okay, or death. Okay, so disease, where do you study? We will study in pathology. Okay, so pathology subject. So these are some of the YouTube links you can watch later, okay, to understand what I've said in the first part of the lecture. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, if not, I continue this one. Okay, the language of anatomy. What does it mean by language of anatomy? The phrases and terms that you use in anatomy, in this field of study. Okay? Using the proper terms to identify the structures of the body, help physicians communicate with each other and the patient. Okay? Physicians are doctors. They are not only doctors, even for biomedical scientists, medical biotechnologies, biology and psychologists. Biologists and psychologists. Okay, and most of these terms are not English, okay? They are typically derived from Latin, okay, or Greek. So let us look at some examples here. Sometimes you see two different forms of these terms or phrases, okay, but actually they're referring to the same thing. So because one is plural and other is singular. The same with English also, right? You have singular and plural. So example here, if it is ending with um, okay, the plural is a. Example is cranium. Okay, cranium is singular, cranial is plural. What is the cranium? Anyone knows what is the cranium? The skull. Okay. Next one is ending with A. The plural is A-E-A. Okay, memma is meme, antenna, antennae. Okay, us is I, focus is foci, then the more common one, cactus is cacti. Okay, and then last one is 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 ES, crisis is crisis, epiphysis, epiphysis. Okay, however, there are some exceptions of this one. Okay, like genus is genera, opus is opera. Okay, so this one you don't have to worry too much about it. Okay, next one is anatomical position. What is the standard anatomical position? So I have asked you to come in the front here to pose an anatomical position, to model an anatomical position. What is the pose? The pose is like this now. Okay, standing with the legs together, feet flat on the floor, hands at the side with palms facing forward. Okay, so all discussion of the human body is in reference to this anatomical position. Okay, this one is standing up, so it's standing. What about if you lie down? Okay, lie down, face up is known as supine. Okay, lie down with the face facing down is prone. So if you see this term supine or prone is the position of sleeping. Okay, sometimes you see, you go IKEA, you see is a, what type of sleeper are you? Are you a supine sleeper or are you a prone sleeper? And then they recommend what type of pillow you should get. Okay? Anatomical landmarks. Okay, some of the terms that you need to know. So we start from the tip of the head, okay, to the toes. So the head here is known as cephalic. Okay, head is a layman term. Okay, so now you are taking anatomy, you upgrade already. So it's known as the cephalic. Okay, then the cranial is referring to the brain. Okay, and then the facial area. So you know the term hydrocephaly, right? Do you know what is hydrocephaly? That means water in the brain. Okay, water in the head. Okay, so instead of kepala, you are a kelapa. Okay, so you try to shake your head, see you have hydrocephaly or not. So if you feel that there's water, then you are a kelapa. Okay, instead of kepala. Okay, then the neck. Neck is cervical. Okay, before that, facial, this one is oral. Okay, then the chest. Okay, chest is thoracic. And then your abs. Okay, the umbilical. So find someone and demonstrate. Do you see the TikTok videos that they find like a very fit guy and then the anatomical instructor ask the guy to like what flex the body and this the half naked and then I'll show all the muscle. Okay, I think I should do that in my class. So this thoracic, abdominal, umbilical is collectively known as the trunk. Okay, that is the main part of our body. So when we are referring to the trunk, okay, that is this the main body. Okay, and when we dissect, right? When we do an anatomical dissection, normally what do? We start with the dissection of the trunk, right? The trunk of the body. Okay. Okay. Then after the trunk, what do you have? You have your junk. Okay. Do you have a big junk or not? What does it mean by junk? Junk is this one. Okay. Your buttocks area, your back. Okay, this dorsal, the front is the trunk, and then the back is the dorsal. Okay, and then the buttocks area is actually known as the gluteus. Okay, the gluteal or gluteus area. Okay, and the anatomical name for this butt is gluteus maximus. Okay. This one is facing front, this one is facing back. So the back, this still remains cephalic and cervical. Okay, and at the back you can see the dorsal and the lumbar. So if you say you have a back pain, okay, the back pain is mainly the lumbar pain. Okay. Now the front, the groin area is known as the pelvic area. Okay, and your hand area is known as the manual area. Thighs are femoral. Knee is patella area. And then the feet is pedal. Okay, and the lower limbs, what you see further here, this one is the calcaneus, right? The heel. Okay, so the layman terms all actually they have anatomical terms. Okay, and the sole of your foot is known as planta. Okay, not the margarine planta. This planta is the foot. I don't know why they name the margarine as planta. It's because they want to stab you, is it? Okay, next is anatomical directions. So this one is the anatomical position, right? Anatomical posing. Okay, and how do we refer to positions? Which is right, which is left, which is front, which is back? Okay, those are layman terms. In anatomy, we have specific terms. Okay, so the most common directional terms used are superior, inferior. Okay, what does it mean by superior? That means top. Okay, inferior, that means lower. Okay, the same with this, when you go and work in the office politics, right? The superior, and then all the atas people, and then the bawah people, right? Inferior people. Okay, what is anterior, posterior? What does it mean by the girl has a very big posterior? Okay, what does it mean? Okay, posterior, that means back. Okay, posterior or dorsal. Okay, anterior is facing front. Anterior or ventral. Okay, then next is medial, lateral. Medial is toward the center of the body. Okay, so you can see here, right, medial. And the lateral is away from the center of the body. So it's like side. Again, lateral is like the side. Superficial and deep. Superficial, that means at the surface, more towards the surface. Deep, that means deeper. Okay, and proximal and distal. Proximal, you can see here, is referring to vertical position. Just now is the horizontal, right? The medial and lateral. Okay, so it's away from the central is lateral. Okay, that one is horizontal. What about vertical? Away from the central, the central is known as proximal. So it's away from the proximal in a vertical position is known as distal. Let us look at some examples here. So anterior, the heart is anterior to the vertebral column. Is that correct? What does it mean? The heart is in front of the vertebral column, right? The vertebral column is our spine, our backbone. Not spine, our backbone. Okay? Ventral, okay? The navel is on the ventral surface. Okay, is that so? Ventral surface, that means on the front, okay, the navel. Posterior, the scapula is posterior to the rib cage. Where is the scapula? The scapula is this back here, scapula. Okay, your not shoulder bone, this bone here. Okay, and the rib cage are your ribs, okay, protecting your lungs. Okay, so this posterior, that means at the back of your rib cage. The scapula is on the dorsal side. Okay, what is dorsal again? Is posterior. Okay, the same as just now. And finally, the shoulder is superior to the hip. Is that true? The shoulder is superior to the hip. That means, what does it mean? Top of the hip. Hip is at the bottom, this shoulder is at the top. Okay, are you following all these terms? Other examples are shown here. Knees are inferior to the hips. Okay, knees inferior to the hips. That means bottom. Okay, trachea is medial to the lungs, etc., etc. Okay, you can go and determine whether these examples are true or not by actually determining where are their locations. Okay, next is sectional anatomy. Okay, what does it mean by sectional anatomy? Is where you cut the body. Okay, anatomy is all about cutting, right? Okay, so this is how you butcher the human. Okay, sectional anatomy. So first is the sagittal cut. What is sagittal? Sagittal is separating left and right. So in layman's terms, you say cut the body into half, right? So what half do you mean? Okay, is it the left or right or the top and the bottom? So you don't know, right? So in anatomy, there are specific terms for that. Okay, sagittal cut is cutting left and right. Okay, there are two sagittal cuts. Mid-sagittal, that means exactly equal cut. Okay, or parasagittal, that means the left and right cut are not equal. So you want the mid-sagittal, what do? You cut from here. Okay, and then parasagittal, maybe you start cutting from here. I'm teaching you how to become a murderer. Do you watch the Netflix? What is the thing? What, Jeffrey Dahmer or what? The murderer. Do you watch Netflix? Do you Netflix and chill? Sure got, right?
Only sometimes.
Okay, then next is transverse cut. What does it mean by transverse cut? It's here, separating superior from inferior. Okay, that means you cutting the body in here, in this plane in here. Okay, and finally frontal cut, separating anterior and posterior. So where is the frontal cut? It's cut from here. Just now it's like this, right? You cut like this. Now frontal is you cut like this. So it's no longer left or right. It's front and back, anterior and posterior. Okay, and again for these different cuts, there is always the mid or the para. Okay, mid is the exactly equal and para is not equal. Okay, so you can become a butcher later after this lecture. Okay, next before we take a break, body cavities. Okay, what are body cavities? If you remove an organ from the body, you will leave a cavity. Okay, we are all hollow without our organs. So what are the functions of body cavities? Protect organs from accidental shocks. Okay, allows a space for the organs to move around, so there's shock absorption, absorb shock, and permits changes in size and shape of internal organs. Okay, what is the organ that changes most in size in females? In this which body cavity? The uterus, right? In which body cavity? In the pelvic cavity. Okay, so there is a cavity to enable the organ to change size. Okay, I'm not referring to the penis. Penis is not within the body cavity. So the two major subdivisions are either posterior or dorsal cavities. Okay, that means the front. Posterior is the back. Okay, and anterior or ventral cavities. So these are the posterior or dorsal cavities, the cranial cavity. What sits in the cranial cavity? Our brain. Okay, not coconut water, our brain. The spinal cavity. Okay, so it's at the posterior, at the back. So contains the spinal cord. The anterior ventral body cavity, okay, the thoracic cavity, which is all this, okay, mediastinum, pleural cavity. Pleural cavity is for the lungs, okay, pericardial cavity for the heart, okay, and this is part of the thoracic cavity. Then abdominal cavity and pelvic cavity. What is contained within the abdominal cavity? Our digestive system, right? Okay, our digestive system. And what is contained within the pelvic cavity? Our reproductive system. So internal organs contained within the ventral cavity are called the viscera. So that's why you have the term visceral fat. Do you know what is visceral fat? Do you know your visceral fat level? Okay, you can actually measure your visceral fat level using bioimpedance. And the higher the visceral fat level you have, or the higher chances you're going to die. Okay? What is visceral fat? The fat surrounding these cavities, these organs. Okay, the fat surrounding your intestines, the fat surrounding your reproductive organs, the fat surrounding your thoracic cavity. Okay, it's not that you have more fat in this area, then it's better protection, better insulation. No, okay, it leads to higher mortality rate. Okay, within the thoracic cavity also, I think I already mentioned this, right? Pleural referring to the lungs, pericardial referring to the heart. Mediastinum is a mass of connective tissue between two pleural cavities. Okay, so where is mediastinum? In here. Okay, so this one of the mediastinum in here. The center of the rib cage is the mediastinum. Okay, so it stabilizes and supports the esophagus, trachea, and thymus, and major blood vessels near the heart. And sometimes these cavities are collectively known as abdominopelvic cavity. Okay, so what you see here is also the peritoneal cavity, right? Okay, so all the cavities, okay, not just the cavity in your tooth, these are the empty spaces in your body without the organs. Okay, mediastinum, you see here, mediastinum cavity. What type of section is this one? Transverse, right? Okay, transverse. So body cavity, you see, thoracic cavity, abdominopelvic cavity, and what are their, what do they contain? Okay, so pleural, lungs, this one they contain trachea, esophagus, major vessels. Pleural is also lung, so pericardial is heart. Peritoneal extends throughout abdominal cavity, okay, into superior portion of pelvic cavity. Abdominal are all the digestive glands and organs. Pelvic, not only the reproductive system, also the urinary system. And also the last part of the digestive tract. What is the last part of the digestive tract? The rectum, right? The rectum. Okay, and the anus. Okay, spaces in the body are lined by membranes. So the membrane nearest to the wall of the body is the parietal membrane. So you cut open the body, okay, it's not that you straight away you see the organ. So you get to see that in the next practical, okay, on next Monday, and also the one is the following Friday. So all these organs are covered by a lot of membranes. Okay, so membranes like the parietal membrane, you have parietal pleura, parietal pericardium, parietal peritoneum. Then also the membranes that line the surface of the organs are called visceral membrane. So you have visceral pleura, okay, that covers the lungs, visceral pericardium covers the heart, okay, and visceral peritoneum covers the intestines. Okay, all the anatomical position, directional terms, okay, all the language of anatomy, anatomical regions, you can watch the YouTube videos later. Okay, we'll take a break now for 5 minutes before we continue. So So on online one, what do I normally do during the break? I play K-pop videos. So let's play a K-pop video.
J1.
Anyone knows how to dance? Come, feel free to come up and dance. Any of the Seraphim fans here? Am I saying the name correctly? Do you know their names, the group members? Nobody is a fan here. And what type of music do you listen to? Taylor Swift? What is the Black Dog, right? This one, right?
Black dog. I know a few black dogs.
Already 5 minutes, right? Shall we continue? So we can go back early. Or you want to sing Taylor Swift? Anyone went to the Singapore Taylor Swift concert? Anyone so rich? Go and... Anyone? Oh, okay, wow, congratulations. So which one do you go to? The one they say the Walao A or which one do you go to? You go to? No. No, there's a dancer, right? Then they always say the Singapore slang terms. No, forgot already. Okay, never mind, continue. Okay, next part of the lecture will be on epithelial tissues. So we start at the very cellular level. Okay, and epithelial tissues are very common or the most common type of tissue in our body. Okay, here are the learning objectives. First, you should be able to classify the body's tissue into 4 major categories. Okay, describe the general characteristics of epithelial tissue. Describe functional differences among types of epithelial and examples of their locations. And you must know what is a gland. Okay, what does it mean by a gland? Compare unicellular and multicellular glands. And why does it move by itself? And the modes of secretion: apocrine, merocrine, holocrine secretions. So, how many cells are there in our body? Can you count the number of cells in our body? You count until you die also, you can't count finish. Then there's over 75 trillion cells in the body, and all cells can be placed into one of 4 tissue categories. So systems, just now, how many systems do we have? 11 systems, right? So tissues, how many tissues, type of tissues do we have? We have only 4 types of tissues. Okay, epithelial tissue, which is the most common one, then connective tissue, muscular tissue, and neural tissue. Why is the epithelial tissue the most common one? Because this is the type of tissue which covers our body, which forms part of our skin, all our linings. Okay? So it is a covering and lining epithelium, for covering and lining. Okay? Covers outer surfaces of body, which is the skin, okay, and lines internal body passages. What does it mean by internal body passages? All our lumen, mainly our lumens lah. Okay, you know what is meant by lumen? The intestine, the tube, okay, in the center where the food passes through, the bolus passes through, okay, it's known as the lumen. So all these are covered by epithelium. Okay, the same with blood vessels, right? Blood vessels is also the lumen, okay, which carries blood, right? Okay, it's also covered by epithelial cells. So that's why epithelial tissue is the most common one in our body. Okay, so another type of epithelium is glandular epithelium. So glandular epithelium is a modified type of epithelial cell that is formed by invaginated. What does it mean by invaginated? That means they fold inside. Okay, they fold towards inside. I think that's like a timing automatic. So they fold inside like this. Okay, and they secrete things. Okay, they secrete things. Okay, these are the secretory vessels, and they secrete these contents in the this cavity that is folded inside. So what are the types of epithelial tissue are there? Okay, so we have the simple one. So what is the simple? Lead a simple life. What does it mean? That means just one layer. Okay, just one layer of cells is known as simple. So there are simple cuboidal, simple squamous, simple columnar. So all these pronunciation or anatomical terms, how do you know whether you pronounce it correctly or not? One is, of course, you listen to the lecture, okay, but it's also not necessarily correct, right? So you can listen to YouTube videos also to see how they pronounce all these terms correctly or not. So why do you need to know how to pronounce all these terms correctly or not? One, of course, is your practical report lah. Okay, part of it will require you to record videos. So you're going to prepare video practical reports, okay, instead of written ones. And of course, when you work in the future, you want to communicate, want to speak out, then of course you must know how to pronounce all these terms. Okay, or people will laugh at you. Oh, you study here, suddenly you don't know how to pronounce the anatomical terms. Okay, people will laugh at you. So make sure you know how to pronounce all these terms correctly. Okay, cuboidal, squamous, columnar. So why are they named so? It's because of the shape. Okay, so this is cuboidal shape, shape like a cube. Okay, squamous is flattened layer like this one, and this one is shaped like a column. Okay, so it is known as columnar. What about if you have more than one layer? More than one layer is already known as stratified. Okay, stratified. So again, you have stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar epithelium. Okay, here are some of the common characteristics of epithelial tissue. I think this is one of the very popular question for final exam. I don't know whether it come out or not. So characteristics for epithelial tissue. Okay, what are common characteristics for epithelial tissue? Lines, surfaces. They are arranged in sheets of cells that are bound close together with no intercellular space. Okay, so you see here, there's no space in between these cells. So they're tightly packed together. The tissue has an exposed apical surface and attached basal surface. What does it mean by apical surface? The surface that is facing the top. Okay? Basal surface is facing the bottom, is basal surface. The basal layer of cells is separated from the underlying connective tissue. So below the epithelial tissue is the connective tissue. Okay, connective tissue like blood. Blood is a type of connective tissue. Then muscles. Okay, you will learn that later in the following lectures. So below the separating this epithelial tissue from the connective tissue is the basal lamina, or is also known as the basement membrane. Okay, basal lamina or basement membrane. Epithelial tissue are avascular. Okay, what does it mean by avascular? That means they do not have blood vessels. Okay, it's not supplied by blood. So that's why when you scratch your skin, right? Okay, or even if you dig your inside of your mouth, okay, not deep enough, you will not bleed, right? Okay, because the epithelial cell is not supplied with blood vessels. And cells are continuously replaced via cell division. Okay, so there's a continuously being replaced, being renewed. So I mentioned about the basement membrane, right? So the membrane is formed by the association of actually two layers, the basal lamina, okay, and the reticular lamina. And the basal lamina is formed by lamina lucida and lamina densa. Okay, lamina is like a very elegant English name for a girl. So you don't have an English name, maybe you can name yourself Lamina Chong. Okay, yeah, this, if you, what do you see here? This is an electron microscopy image, TEM, transmission electron microscopy. Okay, and that means you can see the top of the cells. So what do you see at the top of the cells in here? The apical surface, okay, which what you can see are tightly connected cells together with very little gaps in between. So epithelial cells are usually packed together and interconnected by intercellular attachments. So they're very closely knit and tightly close together by these tight junctions. Okay, these are known as tight junctions, which are formed by this type of proteins, CAMs, cell adhesion molecules, proteoglycans. Okay, and this plasma lemma is actually referring to the plasma membrane. Okay, so the basal lamina just now, right? The two layers here, the lamina lucida, lamina densa. So what are the functions of epithelial tissue? Of course, first is provides physical protection, controls permeability. Because it's so closely tied together, okay, so it controls what passes through them because of the very tight junction. So therefore it controls permeability, provides sensation, okay, and produces secretion. So produces secretion are referring to the glandular epithelial cells. So I briefly mentioned this before already, right? A single layer is known as simple epithelium. More than one layer is stratified. Okay, and you have three shapes in here. Squamous, okay, that means flattened type of cells. Cuboidal is cube shape, and the columnar shape. And this columnar shape, okay, normally it comes together with, what is this? See little hairs on the top, right, at the apical surface, right? Okay, what are these hairs known as? Cilia, right? Okay, ciliated. So the epithelium has only one layer. And where do you find this? They are found where easy passage of materials to the epithelial barrier is needed. So you need fast pass-through of things across the epithelium. Examples are like that. Like where? The alveoli, okay? Gas exchange. Because you need to get the oxygen fast, right? Okay, or not if you die. And then also you need to remove carbon dioxide fast, right? Okay, so more for gas exchange, filtration, okay, in the nephron, then absorption and secretion. Stratified are found in areas that are subject to mechanical or chemical stress. Okay, so there are many layers. So the mechanical or chemical stress, that means the apical layer, that means the top layer, if they are subjected to all this stress, then they are removed first. Okay, then the inner layers are then protected. Okay, so look at the examples again. So just now I mentioned about where is the location of this one, right? Alveoli of lungs, lining of circulatory system, the endothelium. Okay, what is endothelium? The cells that line the blood vessels. Okay, the serous membrane lining body cavities known as mesothelium. Okay, also simple squamous epithelium. Okay, functions: control vessel permeability, permits absorption, diffusion, filtration. Stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, where is the most common one that you can find immediately? Your buccal cells, not underlining your mouth cavity. Okay, so if you dig your mouth and use a toothpick and you dig your mouth, okay, and you can usually do that in your practical, okay? Use a toothpick, dig your mouth, and then you spread it out on the slide, and then you can see stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, so these are keratinoids that have the keratin protein, okay, found on the surface of the skin. This one, skin, lining of mouth, esophagus, anus, vagina. Okay, the mouth, esophagus, anus, and vagina, they do not have keratin. Functions are for secretion and absorption. Simple columnar epithelium. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, there are these cilia or villus, right? Villi. Okay, line the stomach, intestines, uterine tubes for secretion and absorption. So actually the function of these hairs, right, is to increase the surface
area for absorption. Okay. So all this you see the cartoon version and also the what is this version? This is the light microscopy version. Okay, that means the real one that you will see under the microscope using the light microscope. Okay, that we will do during the practicals. I think this one is 100 times magnification. So normally there are 3 magnifications, I think 4 magnifications, 40, 100, I think 200, 400 times magnification. Do you all know how to use a microscope? A light microscope? If you do not know, then it's time to learn during your practical. Okay, because we will be using a lot of microscopes. So these are the cells that are prepared and then they are stained with certain dyes. So normally this most common dye is known as the hematoxylin and eosin dye. H and E staining. Okay, you will learn how to do this kind of staining in histology and cytology. Okay, next is this stratified columnar epithelium and stratified cuboidal epithelium. Okay, this one is still simple. I see a single layer only. But if more than one layer, they are actually rare. Okay, not common. They're found in small areas such as the ducts of glands, urethra, and anus. However, a more common one is this pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. What does it mean by pseudo-stratified? What does it mean by pseudo? That means fake lah. Okay? So if you have pseudo-mammary glands, what does that mean? Pseudo-mammary glands, what does it mean? That means you have fake boobs lah. Okay? So pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Why is it pseudo-stratified? Because it looks as if that it is a stratified, but it's actually a simple epithelium. Okay, it's just one layer. It is because the cells are arranged not at a single file. Okay, they're arranged haphazardly up and down like that. That's why you see the nucleus, they are located at different levels. That's why when you look under the microscope, you see that it looks as though there are many layers of cells, right? Okay, but it's actually just one layer of cell. But the nuclei are arranged haphazardly at different levels. So where are these found? And then they come together with what? With this cilia. Okay, and the cilia is normally covered with mucus. Okay, so what are they found? Where are they found? In the nasal cavity. So you dig your nose, actually you're digging the pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, trachea, bronchi, mainly the respiratory tract, are lined with pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. And then also the portions of the male reproductive tract. Okay, functions are for protection and secretion. Okay, the next one here, this one is unique, is known as transitional epithelium. So this epithelium identified as trans. Okay, so why is it? What do you identify as? He, him, she, her, it, they, right? So this epithelium identified as trans, so what do we call them? They, right? Okay, so they are stratified because they are rounded cuboidal cells. Okay, and they are stratified. However, what does it mean by transitional? It means they can change shape now. Okay, from this shape here, you see when this is relaxed, it will look like this one. Okay, it's still a stratified type of epithelium, that means many layers. However, when it is stretched, then you see that the thickness of the epithelium seems to be thinner, right? Okay, so why is this so? Because this type of epithelium has the ability to stretch. And where are they found? They are not commonly found in the urinary tract. Okay, urinary bladder, ureters, and the renal pelvis. So when does this stretch? When there is urine, when it's full with urine, so if your urinary bladder is full, you should go to the toilet now, okay, because your transitional epithelium is working. Then until you cannot tahan, then you leak. Okay, so why you can still tahan the urine is because of transitional epithelium can expand. Next, glandular epithelium, the type of epithelial tissue that secretes things. Okay, so these are known as glandular epithelium. So the parenchyma of the gland are the secretory units along with the ducts. So you see the parenchyma that stained purple. This one is the parenchyma. Okay, whereas the stroma of the glands, so the gland is composed of two sections, parenchyma and also stroma. Okay, stroma of the gland are the connective tissue elements that network through the gland and support the parenchyma. So the parenchyma stained purple and the stroma stained pink. So this one is stroma, not parenchyma. This one is parenchyma. Where you see these empty spaces, what are these empty spaces? These are the ducts of the glands, where the secretions by the glands are released into these ducts. That's why you see the areas, the white areas, right? Okay, so the lining the ducts are the parenchyma, and supporting the parenchyma are the stroma. So imagine that this is like the tree. Okay, the branching network, the stroma of a gland is like the branches and twigs in a tree. Okay, and the branches in the tree form the supporting framework for the leaves. The leaves are like the parenchyma in an organ. So what is a gland? Okay, a gland is a cell or group of cells that produces and secretes substances. So unicellular glands occur scattered in the epithelium, for example, like the globate cells and mucous cells. So normally under the microscope, you will see the vesicles like this one. Okay, because these contain the glandular substances. So the glandular epithelia can be divided into endocrine and also exocrine glands. Okay, so endocrine glands, which is part of the endocrine system, right? Okay, why is it known as endocrine? How is it different from the exocrine? Okay, endocrine, the secretions are released directly into the blood, okay, or lymphatic fluid. There's no presence of ducts. Okay, whereas exocrine glands, mainly there are enzymes, as they secrete enzymes. Okay, so different is this one is hormones, this one is mainly enzymes. Okay, secretions travel through ducts. These are all the ducts. Ducts is like a passageway, like a lumen. Okay, like a passageway, like a tube. To where? To the epithelial surface, to the surface here. So they secrete out, okay, secrete to the epithelial surface. A multicellular gland is usually an ingrower from an epithelial surface. Just now I mentioned, right, the invagination of the epithelial tissue, okay, to form the glandular epithelium. So let us look at the epithelial tissue. There are also multiple forms of this glandular epithelium. Okay, so you have simple tubular, it's just a layer of cells that are invaginated inside, okay, and just as one simple duct. Okay, example is intestinal gland. Simple coiled tubular, okay, it's not straight like that, it's a bit coiled, then that's why it's known as simple coiled tubular. Example is like the sweat gland. Okay, merocrine sweat gland. Branch, okay, simple branch tubular. So it's formed a tube like that, but it is branch. Again, not a single duct, they are branch. Examples: gastric glands, mucous glands of esophagus, tongue, and duodenum. Again, mainly the digestive system. Alveolar, okay, or acinar glands. Okay, they are not found in adult, a stage in development of simple branch glands. And the final one is simple branch alveolar. Okay, this one is known as the sebaceous gland, the oil glands. Okay, your face is very oily, right? Okay, what is actually the oil? The oil is known as the sebum, right? Okay, so why is there a lot of oil? Is because of over activation of these simple branch alveolar glands. Okay. So three types of secretions: merocrine, holocrine, and apocrine. Again, can you remember how to differentiate these types of secretions? So merocrine secretion released through exocytosis. Okay, so go straight away to this one. Secretion released by exocytosis. So how does exocytosis happen? So you have the secretory vesicles, right? It merges with the plasma membrane on the surface of the cell, on the apical surface of the cell, and then these secretions are being released, right? Okay, from the surface. So there is no damage on any part of the cell. So there's just the vesicles that merge with the plasma membrane, and then the secretions are being released. Okay, that is merocrine. Examples: salivary glands, sweat glands, pancreatic glands. Next one is apocrine. So I'm really repeating what is said in here, right? So apocrine is when the part of the cytoplasm of the cell breaks down. Okay, the cytoplasm at the apical surface breaks down. Okay, and these secretions are being released. Okay, for example, here is the mammary gland where the milk is being released. Okay, and there is a chance of regrowth because the part of the cell is still intact, right? So the part of the cell that breaks down, you know how a cell structure looks like, right? A cell has what? Cytoplasm, nucleus, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria. This and that, right? You should be familiar with that. Okay, so part of the cell that breaks down is the cytoplasm. Okay, not the whole cell, just the cytoplasm. So the Golgi apparatus and the nucleus are still safe. So that means they can renew, and there's a chance of regrowth. The cytoplasm is being built back, and together with these secretory vesicles. Again, the gland cell undergoes a period of growth and repair before releasing additional secretions. So merocrine, apocrine, and then the third one is holocrine. Okay, holocrine is composed of different layers of cells. This one is just still one layer of cell. So holocrine, different layers of cells. Okay, where the innermost layer is known as the stem cell layer, where there's a chance of regrowth. Okay, so cell division replaces lost cells. The upper layers, where the cells produce secretions and they have increased size, and the uppermost layer is where the cells that burst, the whole cells burst, not just the cytoplasm. Okay, the whole cell bursts, and there is no chance of renewal for the uppermost layer. So where does the cell get the newer layers or renewed layers? From the stem cell or from the innermost layer? Okay, so they grow towards the top to renew. So the uppermost layer is where the cells, the whole cells burst, releasing the cytoplasmic contents containing the secretions, the glandular secretions. Okay, example, this one is found in where? The sebaceous gland of the skin, okay, releasing sebum. Okay, did I miss anything? Yeah, so this one also holocrine, sebaceous gland in the skin, meibomian glands of the eyelid. Sometimes we have this eye sheet thingy, right, in the eye. So it's actually the glandular secretions in the eyelid, okay, which is part of the holocrine secretion. So MAH, Malaysia Airlines Hospitality. So MAH, how do you remember all this? There's a mnemonic system, right? You have the memorization system, right? So I told you how to, a lot of memorization in anatomy. So how do you remember is by having these mnemonics. So MAH, M is the cell, exocytosis. Okay, the cell is still intact. So glandular secretions are released by exocytosis. Okay, A is cytoplasm being burst. And holocrine is the uppermost layer that is burst. Okay, MAH, different secretions. Okay, memorize this until when is your finals? August, right? Later come up and then you remember to answer. Okay, so that's it for today. So these are the list of YouTube videos you can watch later. Okay, any questions before we end? So I can actually release the quiz questions now already.